So I'm at the area that I wanted. Just show you around a little bit. And do a spin. It's a nice area, nice and flat. There's a couple pecan trees, as well as looks like oak and maybe an elm or something over there. I don't think it's gonna rain, but it's definitely a little dark. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that. This is my shelter for the night. It's just my homemade hammock with some triangle tarp setup over the top of it. Now, I've been sweating profusely since I started setting up. It's really humid out here, which can be worse. Can be worse for you, only because, I mean, it's cool. It's probably 80 degrees out here, but it's so humid that I'm constantly sweating. And because it's cool, you're almost not noticing that you're losing a lot of liquids. So I've got 32 ounces of water with me. That's definitely not enough. I'm going to, once I finish that, I'm gonna head down to the river, and I brought a water filter with me. So right now I'm just gonna take a little break. It's getting warm. I'm gonna sit in the hammock and drink some water, and I'll be back. That is bull nettle. Really similar to stinging nettle, found in other areas of the country. Bull nettle is more prevalent in Texas, although there is stinging nettle. So the little white flower, that's what you're looking for. Now look at this. All that white out there, it's all bull nettle. Bull nettle, you can actually harvest the root from it and eat it. And the seeds as well, but these haven't gone to seed yet. So I am going to attempt to harvest the root from it without stinging myself and getting stung by all these bees that are swarming around me. Get rid of this thing. Well, there's one. Let me get 2 or 3 more. Hopefully not sting myself anymore. Yay, bull nettle. A bird's nest is a bundle of dry material used for tinder to start a fire. Normally it's to catch the fire. I'm looking at the clouds. It's getting dark. So anyway, it's normally to catch a spark to start the fire. And the best bird's nest to me is actually just a bird's nest. So let's show you. Now I'm not going to take this because I actually found something earlier that I'm going to use. Try not to disturb it much. Just sitting on a low branch. Now there's nothing in it. I don't expect there was anything in it. Hasn't been anything in it in a while. But I'm not going to mess with it. There's no point. Now if there were eggs in there, depending on the size of the eggs and the state that they're in, what you could do is hold it up to the sun, even though there isn't much of one, you could probably still see it, or even a flashlight. And you should be able to see whether or not there's an embryo, a developed embryo in there. Peppergrass. It smells a little bit like pepper, but it's really just spicy. It doesn't really taste like pepper. It's good seasoning. I came across a carcass of a deer, and it was a prime opportunity to get sinew. Sinew is essentially the tendons of the deer. It's actually exactly what it is. It's dried out tendons of the deer. Now this stuff is incredibly strong and durable. It lasts for a while. And of course I'm sitting in an ant bed. Hopefully they don't start messing with me. Anyway, so along with, let me show you where the sinew comes from. So this is the deer's leg here, and along this whole area there are incredibly strong tendons. You can still see there's some hair left on this one. This has probably been dead for quite a while. But along this whole area here, there are tendons that just run along like this. And all I did was pull them off. Now there's really not much I'm going to use for the leg. But what I would do if I want to use these, and then in the future I may want to use these for arrows, for arrowheads, as well as the knock in the back of the arrow to keep it from splitting out. What I would do is I would go down to the river, I'd get these wet, and I'd start working them, and they would get pliable. And then after that, you can just use them as cordage. So let's go over a little bit more of what I got here. This could be used for digging. I'm sure plenty of other things. Most of these things could be used for, the same task over and over. I've heard of saws being made of the teeth. You could make notches and things like that. I wouldn't want to rely on this as a saw, but it's something to have. It doesn't hurt to gather things when you can. This is a nice, hefty, probably femur. Heavy. These are rib bones. Rib bones can be carved into things like hooks or used as needles. And I may carve one into a needle. I think it's pretty good. It's elderberry. It's I guess essentially it's a tree, shrub maybe, but it's edible. These flowers here are edible, as well as the seeds, or not the seeds, the fruit. Once the fruit comes, you can eat those as well. The rest of the plant is actually poisonous. You don't want to eat anything but the flowers and the fruit. And the fruit will be pretty much black when it's ready. So we got a ways to go before this is any good. I'm going to try my hand at fishing. I don't have a traditional fishing rod with me. What I do have is fishing kit right here. Now what's in this kit is pretty much everything I need. The only thing that's not in here is the rod itself. Actually have stuff to make my own rod in here. These are the little eyelet screws. Pull one out for you. Now I'm not going to use it this time. I don't really feel like I need it. It's not a very large area to be fishing, so I don't need to cast that far. I can do it by hand. These little eyelets here, you screw them into the wood and you essentially have a fishing rod. Screw them into a flexible pole or something. And then I've already set this line up. Problem is with this setup is I don't have a lot of fishing line. There's not a lot of line on this little reel. But it should be enough for what I'm doing here. You saw me earlier going for grasshoppers. I got I don't know, 6 or so in here. And that rattling that you're hearing is marbles for my slingshot. Move you down a little bit. Marbles for my slingshot. It's starting to sprinkle. It's been sprinkling on and off for the last hour or so. This is a rain jacket. Yeah, I can hear it. It's starting to sprinkle now, which isn't good because I don't want to get my cameras wet. Because they're the only cameras I have. Little bobber. Luckily I'm underneath some trees here, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem. But if it is, I'm gonna have to put you guys up. It ain't much, but